Music has long been the voice of the voiceless. Instrumentals and vocal melodies for decades have blended together to empower marginalised communities to fight for their rights. The songs call listeners to educate themselves, fight oppression, and demand freedom with each note of resistance.
I started playing guitar when I was 12. My first band was called The Healers, based here in Brixton. Yeah, that was age 15. I had a man called Itel Walker and Jimmy Lindsay. Jimmy Lindsay made a song called Easy Like Sunday Morning, which was a hit over here. And then I left that band and I started with another band called Errol Daniels and the Garments. Myself and Barry Ford made a band called Merger. We made an album called Exiles in the Babylon, and we toured all over Europe. We go Holland, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, France, and we did that for a long while. And then we made another album. 79. We made a single called Biko, tribute to Steve Biko, who they killed in South Africa. He was a student leader, and we made an album in Shepperton Studio called Armageddon Time, because it was reflecting the times we were living in. I hooked up with a man called the Mad Professor, Neil Fraser, and I was working in his studio as a session man and as a sound engineer. And one day I was in West Croydon. I was in a bit mini cabin in West Croydon, and I saw this girl at the bus stop, and she was so pretty. I had to turn the car around and go around and talk to her. And it turns out, so I gave her a lift, and it turns out she was a musician. So I said to her, "Give me an example of your singing," and she sang it. It sounded so good. So I took her and introduced her to the Mad Professor. And her name is Kofi. She had two big hits, Place in the Sun and some another song. And then 2012, I started to do open mics, and I've been doing open mics ever since.
My relationship to music. I started off as a lover of music, when I was really young, even though my parents weren't into it at all, and got into playing like Pringle Pots as drums. So I was a musician from about 7 on Pringle Pots, and I had a drum kit by 10, playing in bands by 10 and a half. And then when I was 16, because I lived in the countryside, I heard reggae music. I thought it was brand new. So I was like, wow, what's that? I thought it was some new artist. And then they were like, nah, that was made in Jamaica in the 70s. Couldn't believe it. And then just went in. It's just been my obsession daily, every day, yeah.
Yeah, man, how beautiful it is to see the people them come out and enjoy themselves in peace and unity and harmony. Lovely girls in shocking colours, for real.
I've been in the music scene from, say, professionally, I'd say 15, as in playing music and that. I worked at a record shop in 1982. That's my, as in being in the business behind the scenes, I'd say from 1982, yeah. I worked at a record shop in Brixton called Ethnic Fight, or Round 2 it was called at that time. He had changed the name. I've been selling records from that time, and then I've moved from shop to shop, record shop. I've always been working in a record shop at some point. And during that time, I'd also be DJing, playing out with my own sound system that I built between 1982 and finished about 89. And I've just always been in music. I've produced on a record label, two record labels. Write songs. I'm not a singer, but I write songs. So if anyone You've got a lot of singers out there that can sing, but not good at writing. If they were to ask me to write a song for them, I'd be able to do that.
Hi, so my name is Teshay Makeda. I am a singer, sound healer, songwriter, and it's a roots soul movement. It's inspired by reggae, my roots, and soul. I come from a musical family, and my parents always encouraged roots music, reggae music. I had vocal lessons from when I was very young, and yeah, it's always been there. Yeah, there was just a point where I was just like, I need to, in order for me to be who I'm supposed to be, I have to do what I love. The inspiration comes from a lot of things, but mostly my life experience and God. I feel like I get messages and they come through song, and I want to share that.
When we started, way back in the 60s, when I was 15 years old, there was no reggae then. It was just like we were doing the American songs, the American music, you know, came over. We played them, we were a dance band. And eventually, Rocksteady and Blue Beat came, which is from Jamaica. And just at the time, I think it was about 1970, 75, 76, reggae started coming to London, coming to England, you know, by the Wailers and Bob Marley and them. And we just got into that. It came naturally to us, you know. Reggae music, wherever you go, people know it, you know. People love it, you know. It's a way of passage, you know. It's a vehicle for people who to have their say, you know. That's the only means open to us, because we as a black youth, we never had any newspapers or any TV or any radio station to get thoughts across to the people. So everything, and generally black people never used to read a lot of newspapers and listen to the news. They listen to music, because most of their news came via the music that they listen to and dance to, you know. As you know, that's what reggae music is.
You wouldn't have expected sort of like white, middle-aged housewives in the 70s to have some of the things Bob Marley was saying in their house. But due to the power of music, they were in their house listening to like some serious stuff, like talking about stuff that they would have never usually heard unless it was that music which got there, because it was very commercially successful. So it did manage to break down those doors and, you know, get into places, get a message into places which would have never got into. Obviously a lot of music never gets that far. And you know, sometimes the opposite happens. People like hear a certain kind of music and go, oh, it's disgusting, you know? And often that did happen with reggae all the way through, apart from Bob sometimes. And then, you know, now the kind of, they all love it now, you know, after people trampled it down all through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even today to a certain extent. But, you know, it's a bit more acceptable now. You've got people like me running a record shop in Brixton, so on and so forth, you know?
The music was like something that was ours and something that we could cling to, and an expression that sometimes we didn't know how to express, or it would just sort of, sometimes if I was angry then, me personally, I'd just play some music and just calm myself down, just enjoy it, just know, do you know what I mean? You'll hear the saying, people say, we as black people don't read books, but music was my books. It's my books, because it's all, if you ask me a topic, I can find you a song that covers the topic. It's always been important, reggae music, always will be, you know what I mean?
Reggae music is a soundtrack of Rasta, you know? It is like bringing the words of Haile Selassie and His Majesty into song so that we can receive it even more, like it's more digestible through music. I find it really honest music, and at times, you know, like my song Messenger, Don't Shoot the Messenger, it's like the messages are one thing, but the person may not always be up to that liberty. So there's Rasta people, we ain't perfect, you know? But it's aspiring to be the best version of ourselves, and I find that the music is a reminder of that, for me personally. The power of reggae music is unconditional love, unity, bringing people together. I feel like it transcends so much, and so many people gravitate from all walks of life to this particular sound from a small island called Jamaica. And I feel so honoured to be part of this heritage and this legacy. This is my legacy. And I'm so grateful for reggae music and what it does to people. You just hear 2 bars and suddenly you're moving, you're skanking. It's like the drums, the bass, the heartbeat, the positive messages, the word sound being, you know, back in the day, like it being marginalised people from the ghetto voice, you know, and now it's even amplified more. And I just feel like it's so important for those who have that ancestral lineage or come from, you know, the Caribbean, the Africans, that we honour our roots in that way as well. And yeah, everyone is inspired by reggae music.
I think what's happening, it's in danger of killing itself, you know, because of dancehall, you know, and the stuff that they're saying and doing, you know, which is not very good, you know, because reggae is supposed to be like righteous music, you know, and you're supposed to be setting an example for the children, you know, not leading them astray into all kinds of profanities and stuff, you know.
The world where we're going is like no one wants to be serious. It's all happiness and everything, and happiness is shying away from what's really the important things that's going on. So we'll gravitate to gimmicks and stuff like that, you know, while atrocities is happening. So back in the days, mainly, and I'm going to give you 2 comparisons. So in Jamaica, where they say, you know, you want to say it's a poor country, in comparison to England, yes, right? And a lot of people not so wealthy, right? But those people have the highest spirit. You can go in Jamaica's ghettos. I've never been to India or any of those like Brazil, and I imagine it's the same sort of thing. Ghetto is ghetto anywhere you are on the planet. What I'm saying is that those people that don't have much materially or clothes or anything like that have the most high spirit. And when the weekend comes, they know that they're struggling, they don't have much, they can just about feed themselves. When the weekend comes, they don't want to wallow into that. They don't want to hear that. They know that life is fun time. But it's gone so extreme now that it's taken over. They don't want to hear nothing serious, period. It's always just fun and extreme and outdoing each other, and it's turned to where we are today. Serious thing. And I can't see it going back. I just can't see it going back.
In the 70s and 80s, like in Angola and Mozambique and South Africa and Zimbabwe, there was, you know, there was the black people fighting the white people, you know, for independence, you know, and they were listening to the music, you know. They listened to Bob Marley mainly and culture. They listened to all the music, and that was a great contribution, you know, to the cause. Because we grew up here, and it was like there's a lot of pressure on the black kids, the black youngsters, you know. I mean, even down the road from here, you know, there was a famous club called the Ram Jam, and we used to go there, and Sunday afternoon, some of the police used to grab all of the kids, take them inside, put his head in the toilet and flush the chain, you know, so that inspired us to rebel, you know, playing reggae music.
When we was oppressed, not being tailored into this, that weren't not given a gateway to be part of the system. So we had to find our own way. Again, in the songs, it was always about our liberty. Examples like, it's funny how things just circle around. So let's say getting a job and all of that was difficult, yeah? Our parents trying to buy a home and all of those things was difficult. But somehow you got to survive. And we couldn't get halls to have our own entertainment and that. So eventually we have the entertainment in our houses. By having it in the houses, now you're disturbing the neighbours and the police gets called. And it's just a vicious cycle like that.
Initially, when I was totally outside of this world, just through literally hearing what they were saying in the lyrics and seeing films like Babylon. I wasn't around it at all, so I had no idea. And then coming to Brixton when I started working here in 2013, and even before that, like, you know, I really started to see kind of reggae in its reality. There was like certain moments that they were kind of small moments, but they stuck with me. I can remember one was before the shop was Lion Vibes, there was, I think it was like celebration of the Independence Day on Jamaica Independence Day. It could have even been 2012, so like 50 years or 40 years, whatever that was. 2014 and shit. And I can remember standing here and there was this girl, Claudia, who now runs a record shop over there, and she was playing Slave Driver by Gregory Isaacs. And like there was like a whole kind of parade of Rastas walking along, just like here protesting with the police coming behind them. The way the music like kind of resonated, and just seeing there was something about it, just I was like, fuck, this is like the music just so heavy, kind of, it's really hard to explain, but I just really like suddenly saw like, wow, this music is really powerful in that sense.
Reggae is definitely first and foremost champion music of the world. Yeah, you know.